Most of the public land in this region is managed by the United States Forest Service, mainly for single-purpose uses such as grazing and timber extraction. These practices fragment ecosystems and destroy functional landscapes. Our best hunting opportunities and fish habitat remain in public wild areas because the habitat has not yet been destroyed. Wild areas also supply most of the West with clean water. These benefits are just some of many reasons wild areas need to be protected and managed for their long-term sustainability.
While the Forest Service is slowly coming around to this principle in Hell's Canyon, Congress won't appropriate sufficient funds for the protection and restoration of these crucial habitats until we, the public, demonstrate our commitment to the preservation of wild lands. If we want to save places like Hell's Canyon, we need to demand that government agencies manage on an ecosystem basis and that Congress provide the money to support this work. We need to take action now for many reasons, not the least of which is that the American West is losing native grasslands on public lands at a rate of more than 6 square miles a day. The cause is invasive weeds that destroy plant diversity and food sources for a host of species. Hell's Canyon is nearly 50% grasslands.
When the Forest Service allows thousands of cattle to graze on these steep slopes, on hot, dry inner canyon slopes, in the meadows, in the streams, when it keeps open thousands of miles of off-road vehicle routes and roads, all it's doing is saying, come on in, invasive species, and when they come in, the native grassland community leaves. And when the native grassland goes, with it goes its birds, its butterflies, its lizards, the mule deer, its hawks. We lose a piece of the nation's heritage that's almost gone. What you see down there is a fence line. Everything to the right of it is currently being grazed by livestock. And it's brown. Wherever it's brown, you're seeing invasive, exotic, annual grasses. Everything to the left of that fence line hasn't been grazed for 21 years. The slope is green. It'll be green all season for wildlife. It'll still be good food all season.
Noxious weeds and other invasive weeds have established due to the grazing. And now the ATVs are coming in and spreading them even farther. That as ATV use continues to grow in popularity, which is going to do, the Forest Service is not going to be able to keep them to the roads as they're supposed to. And noxious weeds and other invasive weeds are just such a huge threat right now, and they're in Idaho. Like yellow star thistle and knapweed, it's all over Idaho and all over Montana, and it's just a matter of time before it's going to come across the canyon if it's not well managed, and into not only destroy the native habitat in Hell's Canyon, but also then spread into the agricultural lands in Oregon. And counties outside of public land spend incredible amounts of money trying to curtail invasive, noxious weeds. It's an incredible amount of money. And it seems like just keeping this area healthy would be a lot more economical.
All the good native grasslands in Hell's Canyon need is care and protection from what we know will remove them. Off-road vehicles, weeds carried by and spreading from roads, and livestock grazing and clear cutting. We know that'll drive the natives out, and they're replaced with the equivalent of asphalt as far as native wildlife goes.
The continuing loss of native habitat in Hell's Canyon should ring alarm bells everywhere. But Congress is actually cutting the Forest Service budget for weed eradication and habitat restoration, despite the fact that restoration work benefits the local economy by creating new jobs.
Protection is very important. We do need to protect all the grasslands that are intact there. The problem is that not all of the grasslands have been protected in the past. They've been destroyed. So how do we restore them then? How do we get those grasslands back? The first step is to have the seed available to be able to plant the seed there that needs to be back. And that was my role here. I went out, got the grasses from the forest, replanted them in small acreages like this, harvested the seed, made it available to the commercial growers so that they could produce more. When I originally established this field, it was covered with cheatgrass. This field had been totally denuded of native species. Now it's basically entirely native species. This grass is blue bunch wheatgrass. Grows on very dry sites. This is Idaho fescue, Festuca idahoensis. When I first started this project, a lot of people were skeptical. They said, well, no, the native grasses can't be produced. You can't do that. And it was obvious to me after a few days, they germinated well and they grew well and they're relatively easy to harvest. Commercial grass seed growers can do it if they get the money. If they get the money from, in this case, federal government. It needs to step up. It needs to say this is a priority. We need to produce these grasses, and let's pay the people who can grow them to do it.